Hello students, today we will do a quick revision of the concepts. So we are going to revise Prime Minister chapter that will help you for your exams. First of all, appointment of the Prime Minister. So Prime Minister is elected by the people of India who are above the age of 18. People elect him through elections by voting. So afterwards, whichever political party is able to gain absolute majority, or in case any party is not able to gain absolute majority, even then they form a coalition group. So they select a leader among themselves to whom he want to be appointed as a Prime Minister. So they send their support letter to the President. So then President invites that leader of the majority party or the group to be appointed as Prime Minister. In case none of the party is able to gain absolute majority, nor they are able to form a coalition, so such a situation is known as hung parliament. So in case of a hung parliament, the president uses his discretionary powers. So now what are discretionary powers? Where the president need not to work on the advice of the Prime Minister and Council of Ministers, he can use his own discretion. So in case of a hung parliament, the president appoints a Prime Minister using his discretionary power, the one who can assure him that he has the support of the smaller groups. So that person has to prove his majority within 1 month of his appointment. So Prime Minister is elected by the people of India but appointed by the President of India. Next we will revise Council of Ministers. Our constitution says that there shall be a Council of Ministers with the Prime Minister at its head to aid and advise the President in performing his duties. So who is the head of the Council of Ministers? Prime Ministers. But what is Council of Ministers? After the elections, whichever party is able to gain absolute majority, they are going to form the government. But all those people who have won the elections from that particular party will not be appointed as ministers. They will be member of parliament but not minister, because there is a restriction which says that the number of ministers cannot be more than 15% of the total strength of the Lok Sabha. So we'll take 550 is a number. So 15% comes to 83. So those 15% will be appointed as minister, and that is known as Council of Ministers. So under the Council of Ministers, there are three categories. One is Cabinet Ministers, number 2 Ministers of State, number 3 Deputy Ministers. So Cabinet Ministers is the first category, Ministers of State is the second category, and Deputy Minister is the third category. So Cabinet Ministers are the most trustworthy people of the Prime Minister, and they are the one who decides all the policies and programs of the government. Cabinet Ministers, they hold important portfolios, for example, finance, railway, home ministry, defense, whereas Ministers of State may or may not hold important portfolios, and deputy ministers are never given independent portfolios. Their job is that they will assist the ministers of state as well as the cabinet ministers. Next, the cabinet minister, they are the one who are consulted by the Prime Minister. As I've told you, they are the one who decides the policies and programs of the government. So they are the one who are consulted by the Prime Ministers, whereas Ministers of State may or may not be consulted by the Prime Minister, and Deputy Ministers will not be consulted by the Prime Minister. So Cabinet Ministers, they are the one who take part in the Cabinet meetings, always they are there. Ministers of State, they take part only when there is a matter related to their particular department, and Deputy Minister, they do not take part in the Cabinet meeting. So this was about the Council of Ministers. Now we will discuss the collective and the individual responsibility of the Council of Ministers. So collectively, the Council of Ministers is responsible to the lower house, that is Lok Sabha, and individually they are responsible to the President. I'll repeat once again. Collectively they are responsible to the lower house, that is Lok Sabha, and individually they are responsible to the President, because they hold office at the pleasure of the President. So collectively they have to work as a team. They have to defend the government policies inside as well as outside the parliament. Although they might not be a party to the decision, because we know that decisions are taken by the cabinet ministers, still they have to defend the government policies. And we know that in case a vote of no confidence is passed, the whole Council of Ministers has to resign. and individually they are responsible for their own personal lapses, that there should not be any lapses at their own end. They have to follow the government policies, they should not breach the government policies, they should not breach the oath of secrecy, they have to follow the government policies, they should not depart from the government policy, neither they themselves or their department. Okay, thank you so much.